our reading in the Megillah from beginning to end. We're going to read the whole Megillah, starting with Miss Barbie.
Long ago, in the land of Persia, in the city of Shushan, lived a very rich king whose name was Ahasuerus.
Gesundheit.
He was a foolish king who spent most of his time in the palace giving parties. One day, he invited his queen Vashti to come to a banquet at the palace. Vashti refused. King Ahasuerus
Gesundheit.
became very angry and sent her away from the kingdom forever.
Ahasuerus
Gesundheit.
held a contest to choose a queen. He called all the maidens in the country to appear before him. A Jewish man named Mordecai brought his young cousin Esther
Hooray!
to the palace to enter the contest. Ahasuerus
Gesundheit.
thought she was the most beautiful and chose her to be his new queen. Mordecai warned Esther
Hooray!
not to tell the king that she was Jewish.
One day, when Mordecai came to visit Esther,
Hooray!
he heard two of the palace guards plotting to kill Ahasuerus.
Gesundheit.
Mordecai
Hooray! Oh.
told Esther,
Hooray!
and Esther
Hooray!
told Ahasuerus.
Gesundheit.
The king's officers arrested the two men. The story of how Mordecai saved the king's life was written down in the royal diary.
The chief minister in the king's palace was a very wicked man whose name was Haman. All the people in Shushan bowed down before Haman. Except for Mordecai, who refused because Jewish people worship only God. This made Haman very angry, and he decided he would kill Mordecai and the rest of the Jews.
Haman asks his magicians to select a day to kill the Jewish people. They used Purim or lots, which were magic numbers, to select just the right day. They chose of the 13th day of the Jewish month Adar. Haman told Ahasuerus
Gesundheit.
that the Jews did not obey the king's laws and should be killed. The king agreed to issue a royal order to destroy the Jewish people. Haman has gallows built so that Mordecai could be hanged.
When Mordecai heard that he and his people were in danger, he went to his cousin Esther,
Hooray!
the queen. He begged Esther
Hooray!
to try to change the king's mind. Esther
Hooray!
was afraid. She knew that no one was allowed to visit the king without permission, but she realized that she alone could save the people. She agreed to go. Mordecai told her to pray for courage. For 3 days, Esther
Hooray!
did not eat or sleep.
On the third day, Esther
Hooray!
went to the palace. When the king saw his beautiful queen, he stretched out his golden scepter and invited her to come in. Esther
Hooray!
approached the throne. The king asked her what she wanted.
Hooray!
Because she did not wish to make the king angry, she did not tell him the real reason for coming. Instead, she invited him to a big banquet and asked him to bring Haman.
The night before the banquet, the king had trouble falling asleep. He called his servants and asked them to read aloud from the royal diary. He heard how Mordecai, the Jew, saved his life. He asked if Mordecai had been rewarded for his bravery and was told that he had not. Just then, Haman came to see the king. Ahasuerus
Gesundheit!
asked Haman how he would reward a brave and good man. Haman, thinking that the king wished to honor him, suggested that the person be dressed in the king's royal robes and crown, and led on the king's horse through the streets of Shushan. The king liked this idea and ordered Haman to carry out his own plan, but to honor Mordecai. Haman was very angry, but did as the king ordered. That night, the king and Haman came to Esther's banquet. The king saw that Esther looked very unhappy. Because he loved her, he promised her that she could have anything she wanted from his whole kingdom.
Esther told the king that a wicked man was planning to kill her and the rest of her people, the Jews. The king became very angry and demanded to know who this wicked man was. Esther pointed to Haman. The king ordered that Haman be killed immediately. Haman was hanged on the gallows he had built for Mordecai.
The king appointed Mordecai to take Haman's place as chief minister and dressed him in royal robes of blue and white with a great golden crown. Mordecai became a great man in the palace of King Ahasuerus.
Gesundheit!
And did many good things for the Jews.
Hooray!
The Jews were very happy to be saved. On the 14th day of Adar, they celebrated with great feasts and banquets. They sent gifts of food to their friends and to the poor people throughout the land. Mordecai told them that each year on the same day they should celebrate to remember how the Jewish people were saved from Haman's evil plot. The holiday became known as Purim after the magic number of lots that Haman's magicians had used.
All right, that was a wonderful reading of the Megillah. Thank you so much, Megillah readers. Wow. Beautiful.